next speaker is our president, Mr. Tom Burke. So come on the stage, Tom. Good to have you here again from US.
Thank you, and thank you.
Interesting was in the car when we switched over from the hotel to here. You was
Be careful.
Be careful. No. So you was talking about how and Nacho was a person asking, okay, how everything started years ago. So you are really, we should really write that down, that story once upon a time, because otherwise we are not aware how everything started at the beginning. But you are a member since the very first beginning with all your thoughts and vision. And so I'm really interested to get your keynote here, and so I switch over the slides and get some impressions from you, okay?
Thank you very much. And thank you all for taking the time to come to this event. This is our second annual OPC Europe event. Thank you, Endress Hauser, for the great support of putting this together. It's an exciting opportunity for us to come to Switzerland. And the significance of what we're trying to do here we're going to talk a lot today about where OPC's been, where OPC's coming to, and the whole concept is about OPC UA and our vision of interoperability for data and information. And Endress Hauser, it's really interesting because if you think about what OPC stood for when we started, it stood for OLE, for process. And the whole concept was all about process automation and process control. So we've really come back to the roots. You know, and I'm very proud to have Endress Hauser as a very important member of our organization. I stole this slide from one of my colleagues that started talking about change. And they started talking about all the different things going on and what happens, and I'm not going to read through all these, our slides will be available, but the concept is that so many things change in 60 seconds. So many things are happening with the power of the technology. And that's why we're here today, because we're here to talk about technology and innovation and the importance of all this. So if you start thinking about all the technology that we all have smartphones, we all have smart devices, we all have smart automation inside of our homes to some degree. And this is the wave of the future of where things are going. So, you know, how many things are being bought in 60 seconds, for example? This is kind of a overall view of all the kind of things, which just starts to mold where technology is going. Whoever envisioned that, 10 years ago, that it would be standard operation for all of us to use voice over IP, and I could call somebody up and I'm going to see their face right away, right? In 1970, we tried to use this technology, and it said, we'll never make it work. Well, now it's commonplace. Everyone uses the technology all the time. So why do we need connectivity, though? So we talk about technology changing, we talk about all the products going. Well, why is OPC doing all this stuff? Why is OPC this vision of interoperability? Well, the premise is that I keep looking at all these opportunities for connectivity and all these different opportunities for doing better jobs of managing effectiveness and utilization of technology. So a lot of the reasons that we need connectivity, and we're going to talk a lot today about moving data and information into the upstream enterprise application. We're going to talk about the importance of all the instruments and all the devices in process. We're going to talk about how we pull all these things together into a total interoperable framework. And that's what this whole premise is of OPC collaborating with a lot of different organizations. Stefan kind of alluded to where the OPC Foundation is. And we started in 1995, and it's been a long time. It's been a collaboration of vendors working together, developing specifications and technology for interoperability. So the premise of when we started this in 1995 was, we said, if we're going to be successful, we have to get the vendors and end users together for the reason of wanting to develop technology that actually they would bring forward into products. And we're going to talk later on, and you're going to learn from all the sponsors, and thank you sponsors for helping us pull together this event. Talk to them and you'll learn about the products that they have based on the OPC UA technology. So Stefan alluded to membership, and yes, you should be very proud of OPC Europe. Dr. Ahatz and now Mr. Hahn are very proud of the fact that Europe has the most of the members of the OPC Foundation. You know, Europe is up there. It has the 48% of the overall membership in the organization. Now, you don't have to be a member of OPC to build products either. But these are the companies that are committed, when they're members to OPC, that are committed to building products that are certified and also helping to evolve the technology over periods of time. So you're going to learn a lot about this new vision of where I'm going and what we're trying to push out with OPC. And we've always been doing this, but now we're starting to talk more about it. It's a community. You're part of this community. You're part of the developers that build products based on the technology. You're part of the community that use products based on the technology. You're part of the community that's going to be the innovation for the future as we continue to push information into other areas outside of just industrial automation. It's about collaboration. You're going to learn today about our collaboration with ISA 95 and what we're doing there. You're going to hear about the collaboration with PLC Open. OPC is serving many more markets than when we started with just process control. It's now about industrial automation and a lot of different related domains. So when you think about where we started, before OPC, the concept was you had to write all these different things, and the HMI vendors, of which many of them are in the room today, had the whole concept of they had to write complex software to be able to talk to the different devices and applications in both process and factory automation. And we were talking about this in the car this morning, how it started. It really was started because the vendors were very tired of the amount of time it took and the amount of maintenance and support to develop all that complex software to be able to talk to devices that benefited them not at all. But then when we did OPC, we said, you know what, we'll create this client-server model we're going to talk about today, and life was wonderful. So a single vendor or multiple vendors knew how to write the software to talk to those devices, and then the visualization applications just took advantage of it. It sounds like the printer driver model, doesn't it? It sounds like the concept of I buy a printer from HP or I buy a printer from Dell and I plug it in, and it just works. That's the concept behind OPC, and that's where we started, and that's where we went. So if you look at some of the features provided by OPC, it's really all about interoperability. It's about providing a solid interface that allows plug and play, not plug and pray, interoperability. We're going to talk a lot about data, but more importantly, we're going to talk about information and the power of information as we start thinking about interoperability and maximizing our use of technology to maximize our use and efficiency of process and factory automation, and provide this information conduit to your smartphones, your Android devices, any type of device out there. Everyone probably has, you know, some sort of either an Android or an iPhone, right? Or an iPad or an iPod. Let me tell you about the little world of the students coming out of the, you know, grammar school right now. They're more proficient using the technology than we are. Okay? This is scary. I have a 10-year-old daughter that's better using her, you know, iPad than I can even dream of. She knows how to, you know, use this as a application to do communication with all of her peers and friends. This is the wave of the future. The wave of the future is being able to have connectivity between all of your peers and connectivity for information. So over time, as OPC developed, we started with that little thing where we standardized on interoperability of the devices in process automation and factory automation, and we continued to solve additional problems over time as part of this community of vendors and end users working together. So we patted ourselves on the back and we did data access, we did alarms and events, and we did history, and we did data exchange, and we did batch, and we kept developing more and more specifications for the whole premise of information interoperability, and that's what OPC was all about. Over time, from the benefits from adoption work, we streamlined operation. We made it easier for the end users to get products and pick products from different vendors and make it work. Now, are all suppliers happy with that? No. A lot of the suppliers would prefer that you buy all the products from them. But the real world in terms of consumer electronics and students from the universities coming in and says, you know what, I don't want to buy from one vendor. I want to be able to pick and choose different products from all my different vendors, and it should all just work together in a plug-and-play fashion. So the concept was the end users really benefit out of this. The end users get the opportunity for buying products from different vendors, and they just work because of the OPC technology and the community of suppliers that build products based on the technology. So this is an interesting, there's a PowerPoint problem here, huh? We had this compatibility between 2010 and 2007. It kind of overlaid, so OPC needs to fix this problem too. But the concept was, right, you know, it's showing the background instead of the front, so maybe that's the new model of our template. But the concept of where you started from was OPC was very much geared towards the field devices and production, but now we're doing a lot more things. And matter of fact, last year we hosted our event at SAP. This year we're here in Switzerland and Endress Hauser. But the concept is about information integration from devices and applications in process and factory all the way up to the enterprise. And that's the whole direction of where we're going. So from an integration problem though, although we did all these wonderful things, we created all these individual OPC specifications for data access and alarms and events in HTA, it still didn't really integrate everything together when we started thinking about how do we cross the corporate firewall. We based everything on Microsoft for a very long time, and Microsoft is a wonderful, and I love Microsoft. But what about all these other devices that aren't Microsoft? What about all these embedded devices? What about the Android? What about the iPhone? How do I make all these things work in an open fashion? Well, we needed to start looking at how do we take this to the next level, and how do we move away from solely being based on Microsoft. So the concept was, let's adapt the technology to support corporate cross-the-firewall technology and interoperability and scalability to all these other platforms that aren't Microsoft anymore and move all this work. All right? How many people know what DCOM is? Okay? Oh boy. How many people like DCOM? Now wait a minute. A lot of people knew what it was, but nobody said that they liked it. This is a bad thing. How many people know what DDE is? Okay. Everybody that raised their hands with DDE, you know what OPC really stands for? The Old Programmers Club. That means that you are part of that team if you still know what DDE is, because it's a long time ago. But all kidding aside, okay? Where OPC is going now is now we're embracing all the technology and continuing to support the technology. You're going to learn a lot more about this as we move forward. The unified architecture is now our embedded solution. It's a service-oriented architecture that provides interoperability across the firewall and scalable to a variety of platforms. You're going to learn about what we've done with Java. You're going to learn about what we've done with standard ANSI. You're going to learn about the power of still using Microsoft.NET. What you're going to learn about is that you can put OPC UA on a chip, and also you can do things with very complex applications up into the enterprise with stops in between. So from a UA feature summary, if you remember anything, UA is the embodiment of all those OPC specifications that were great, but now we've integrated them all together into a very tight, cohesive framework that actually makes it a lot easier for our suppliers to build products, and build products that will stand the test of time. And I call this timeless durability. Now our concept has been that applications built in 1995, and that's when we started OPC a very long time ago, and applications built in 2012 still interoperate together. It's a little bit complicated, but they still interoperate together because that's the vision of what we set forward in OPC. So also as we move forward in UA, the importance of security, the importance of reliability, now I emphasize a lot more. So now I talk about secure, reliable, interoperability, multi-vendor, multi-platform. And that's what OPC UA is all about. So if you remember anything, remember SRI, Secure, Reliable, Interoperability. I'm coining that term. So OPC UA, we've got a basic set of services down there, and we've taken all the great functionality of the OPC Classic, put it into a service-oriented architecture, and then the data portions of that, like data access and alarms and conditions and history, actually use all the same services. So when we had data access, we had 17 different ways of reading. In alarms, we had another 14 different ways of reading. You know what? UA, we have one. We have one way, really. Well, kind of two. But we have one way of reading, okay? Data and alarms. So what we've done is we've taken a service-oriented architecture and we've broken down the differences between here's the services and here's the information. What did that also give us? It gave us the ability with the information model that Dr. Manicky is going to talk about later on, right? No? You're not going to talk about that? Uh-oh. So somebody is. Okay. But we're going to talk about these. Kidding me. We're going to talk about the power of information. And we're going to talk about the beauty of collaborating with all these other organizations. And we're going to talk about taking information from all the Endress Hauser devices and being able to use generic applications in a plug-and-play fashion. So that's how all these things build on top of this. And that's the complex information model that's actually very simple. So OPC UA, platform independence, I said this a couple times. It's CE. It's on the iPhone, it's on a PLC, it's on a laptop, it's an enterprise, it's on a tablet. Anything you can imagine, and matter of fact, there's a lot of vendors that are starting looking at this and putting them then in thermostats on the wall. So we're starting to approach the whole concept of building automation. And Russ is going to talk about that later on when he does his presentation, talking about the power of UA and integrating green buildings and integrating buildings that have existed for a long period of time in a complex way of industrial automation linking up to building automation. So with that, where did we start? Requirements going forward. You know, it's about modeling. It's about services. It's about platform independence. It's about data and information integration all over the place. We're going to learn today a little bit about 1131 and the work going on in the PLC Open community. Stefan's going to talk about that. OPC Aware, we're going to talk about ISA 95, and it's all about collaboration with these other information organizations having plug-and-play information integration as part of the standard UA framework. So again, classic OPC with UA, the architecture is the same. It's still client-server, except now it's streamlined. It's all based on exception-based processing, and it's based on information integration, and it's based on multi-platform. Many of my vendors in the room are doing toolkits. They actually are helping and meet some of them as part of the sponsors here to quickly bring products to market based on the OPC UA technologies. So with that, platform independence, security, reliability, multi-vendor interoperability is OPC UA. Collaborating with all these other information organizations, we've got a standard framework that truly allows plug-and-play interoperability on any device you want, any application you want, any domain you want. So with that, we've got our compliance program as part of the OPC Foundation. We encourage all of our vendors to certify their products. We have a lab in Europe. We have a lab in the US. There's plans for a lab in Japan. And our vendors bring their products to those labs, and the products then get certified. Some of our vendors, actually the European guys were the first ones that got their products certified, okay. Stefan made me say that, but it's true, okay. And the success of OPC is very much dependent on the great work that comes out of the European organization. And I'm very proud that's why I'm here, because of the significance of the dedication from all of the suppliers and the end users, all demanding technology. So we're doing an event in Orlando. We're going to try and model it after the success of the OPC Day Europe that have been happening here in Germany and in Switzerland, and in future we're going to do a number of other ones locally. I was talking to my colleagues. We're doing one in Finland on October 9th, a local one there. I think we're doing one in Spain and Austria as well, okay, in the fall. So, and we're doing the Technology Summit in Orlando in October. So with that, thank you for your time. And did I get close to 15 minutes? I went over. Uh-oh.
It's okay, you're the president.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
very much for your time.